Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, wherever you're coming in from. I am so excited today. I'm watching the numbers here on the screen and I'm watching them go up and then they're being taken off. So I already know we're being censored. I was just telling my guest, I haven't seen this level of censorship since between 2019 and 2021 when it was absolutely ridiculous. So give us a help out and hit that like button, share, follow, whatever you're going to do. And I wanted to let you know again that we're going to talk about everything regenerative health because this is such an up and coming topic. I mean, you've seen and heard all kinds of this stuff for the last probably significantly, I would say about 6 months, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And there's a reason it's growing and there's a reason it's censored, because it empowers you. Okay, so let's get to it. There is never enough time for this conversation to cover all of the amazing things that you guys have been asking me and sending me in my inbox. So I'm going to bring in one of my favorite people, an absolutely brilliant woman. And we're going to talk about some of the stuff that you guys have been asking me about, because she's an absolute encyclopedia of knowledge when it comes to this. And I can only hope to one day have a quarter of what comes out of her brain. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in Carrie Drinkwine. And I'm going to let her introduce herself because her story is incredible. Her story is incredible. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
Living the dream, as usual. Carrie, can you tell everybody, give everybody a little bit of an introduction about who you are, and what you're doing and why you are literally changing the world for the better?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't even know if you can see me because I've lost my...
Yep, we can still see you.
Okay, great. So I'll just roll. So my name is Carrie Drinkwine, and really I own the Institute of Regenerative Health. So I train and certify regenerative health practitioners globally. And I also own Wise Wellness Holistic Clinic, which was kind of more of the beginning of my journey. And I really got into this through my own illness, which I think so many of us do, just kind of knowing that there's another way. I was diagnosed with Hashimoto and early onset lupus when I was 30 years old, as well as a slew of other things from other functional medicine doctors that said maybe I had Lyme, I had fibromyalgia, I had chronic adrenal fatigue, I was diagnosed with unexplained infertility. And there's just this moment where the devastation was there when I went to the doctor and I had all these diagnoses, because I had been going to the doctor for several years saying something was not right in my body. And I was like, this is not normal. I'm sleeping at a stoplight. I pass out if I stand up too fast. My heels feel like glass when I'm walking. Like the list went on and on of the symptomology. And they kept sending me away saying everything looks normal in the blood. And then one day, I had multiple morbidity diseases that were diagnosed as, or as I like to call them, diseases. And I remember feeling shocked, a little bit devastated, but all in this one moment, I said to my doctor, I said, but how does this happen? And she said, well, we don't know, but if you just take these drugs, you'll live a relatively normal but shorter life. And I immediately had this rage come over me. Like, what? How is that an acceptable answer? You're a doctor. Shouldn't you know how these things happen? And I think we put so much of our trust into the medical system because that's how we're programmed and raised. And I remember getting in my car and sitting there crying and thinking, no, this isn't it. Like, if this can happen to me, I wasn't born this way. Something shifted in my body, whether it was emotional, whether it was physical, whatever it was, something changed and somehow I can unwind it. And I didn't know what that looked like, but I had this inner knowing that I could. And that began my journey. And I started researching everything I could. I started working with functional medicine doctors. I started working with endocrine doctors. I started working with total naturopaths and getting a tiny bit of progress here and there. But it really wasn't until I found the work of regenerative detoxification that I actually reversed everything in my body. And that set out the trajectory for my entire life. Because after that, I was like, everybody needs to know this. Like, everybody should have this information so that if they so choose, if they want to, they can heal themselves. And so I went and certified myself in pretty much everything under the sun, and then opened my own clinical practice, which took many years to build. And then I hit a mass level of, I was on months of a waiting list. I was working 70 hours a week, and I had the light bulb go off saying, Carrie, it's time to train people. And so that birthed the Institute. And actually, amidst the pandemic, my clinic was shut down and deemed non-essential. And this is when I decided to use this time and leverage this time to open my school.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So for those of you watching, if you have any questions as we go through, please feel free to drop them in the chat. If we can see them, we'll try to get to them as much as we can. Again, censorship is awful, especially for this topic, which makes absolutely no sense at all. But just put in some reactions. Well, it does make sense.
It's the largest conglomerate in the world.
Yeah, big pharma.
Yeah, I was just listening to a podcast this morning about a doctor that's actually writing a book about this industry, and that the pharmaceutical industry actually brings 5 times more of an investment to the government than even the oil industry. They are, it's insane, multi billions invested into keeping our food addictive and keeping us on drugs. And we are sharing completely the opposite message. So there is an agenda to hide us.
Yep, it's completely corrupt. So, okay, so to start with, we're going to break it down really easy for people to understand. What is regenerative healthcare?
So regenerative health is really activating your body's own wisdom, getting to the root cause of the problem, and allowing your body to repair itself. I'm not the healer. You're not even the healer. We deliver the message. Our body is brilliantly designed to self-repair. We've never seen the disease rates that we're experiencing today in history. You know, we might see one kid with diabetes 50 years ago. Now it's nearly 50% of children. We are at staggering numbers. So what we're seeing is that the body has lost its wisdom, right, because of the terrain. So the way that regenerative health works is not only preventative care through education and lifestyle modification, but also reversal through detoxification by getting to the root of what exactly is causing this problem. We clean it out and we regenerate the tissue at the cellular level, and we get rid of the problem completely.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about maybe how people are trapped in this little box of treatment options. Okay, I know from the when I was looking back in on it, from when I was still asleep, I guess you could say, it was the only option. Treatment was always the one option. You go to your doctor, that's the end of it, and Bob's your uncle. You get a pill, it's magically solved, but it isn't. So let's talk about boxed into treatment options by design, and what do those look like for different people?
Well, we aren't told that we can reverse disease. So let's just start there. So disease doesn't exist in other species types that are eating native to their species type. If you really look at it, disease exists in house animals and humans. And this is because we're so outside of our own nature. So first, we aren't even told, we're told that disease is a genetic trajectory that's just going to happen. And that's actually not true. So epigenetics has proven that literally 5% of our genetic makeup actually determines the outcome, and the rest is epigenetic, meaning environmental, lifestyle choices. So the environment that surrounds the cell is essentially more important than what the information that's inside the cell itself. So it starts there. It starts with this programming that disease is part of life. It's genetic. We can't avoid it. It just happens. We don't know how, and it can't be reversed. So that's the first box that we get put in a mindset way. And it's a big one because we are controlled by these programs that we've grown up in, to go to your doctor, that disease can't be reversed. I hope you don't get the C word, right? You know, these are like these things that we start to believe and program ourselves around. And if you Google right now, can you reverse blank disease? It will just say no. It can be treated, but it cannot be cured. So that's number one. Number two is the second box is that actually all of the medical industry, although they take an oath to serve the people, I truly believe that everybody that is entering the medical industry is doing so because they want to help people. I really do believe that they have a good heart. They think they're going to help people. They want to be a doctor or a nurse or whatever. And then they realize that they're put into a box where their education is actually funded by pharma. I don't know if you know this, but Stanford University, 50% of their funding comes from pharma. So they are indoctrinated into a school of thought where they are just taught disease symptoms and then the treatments pharmaceutically. They aren't taught to look at the body as a whole, actually. They're taught to have specialists in every area. So, for example, if somebody has a problem, okay, I'm going to send you to the ear, nose, and throat doctor, and then I'm going to send you to the back specialist, and then I'm going to send you here. And everybody's specialized in these micro segments, and nobody's looking at the body as a whole. And this is the way that they capitalize on making money off of our illness and sectioning out the body. But we are one unit. So I think that the box really starts with the programming of believing disease isn't reversed, and then that it can only be treated. And then the medical industry is also trained the same way. So there's just very strong school of thought that this is just how it is. And I don't know that the people going into medical school, that's their intention at all. I don't believe that. I believe that the industry is corrupt in itself.
100%, 100%. And I mean, and none of these treatment-based models, whether it be allopathic or naturopathic, they don't get to the root cause. They're all treatment-based, but there is another way. It
100%.
involves self-empowerment, but there is another way, right? And I think that's where the fear lies, because we've been so degraded of our accountability. Is that the right term? I don't even know. But
well, it allows us to stay in a victim consciousness of, oh, this happened to me, and the only option I have is what my doctor gave me is this pill that creates a whole slew of other problems. They need a pill for that pill, right? Like there's no medicine on earth that creates harmony in the body. It's all creating an imbalance. But we are disempowered because we're not taught that it's possible to heal or to prevent. We're kind of taught like, well, here's your genetics, good luck, right? Or you have good genetics. And we also are seeing that now. We're seeing people with really strong grandparents that never had disease that live till they're 105 years old, and the children have disease, right? And their children have disease. So we're seeing genetics is not even mattering at this point.
Right. So when do you think that people kind of turned from their traditional knowledge and embraced outside sources, aka the Rockefeller system of XYZ?
Well, interestingly enough, you're bringing up Rockefeller. I think it was okay. So if you guys don't know the history, I mean, obviously Rockefeller owns the pharmaceutical industry. It was the birthing of it. Really, it was okay. How is that plant doing that? And let's make it into a pill and make it profitable. That's really was the beginning. And so schools and ADA and all these different industries were being funded by Rockefeller to create this school of thought. And anybody that was practicing natural medicine was called a witch. They were imprisoned. They were outcasted, right? So it's almost like because of the amount of time, just over 100 years, it's fallen out of our sphere of our own wisdom, in a matter of time. And it became so mainstream and in just the way we went with society, like a fast nation, fast food, fast this, I got to go to work, got to get into our box car and go to our box office and sit in our box, right? And take a pill. Oh, you don't need to do anything. You just pop a Tylenol. It's okay. And so it started to become this mass programming. This mass programming that came in that just became a way of life. In a way, I remember growing up and thinking, Mom, I don't feel good. Bring me the doctor for an antibiotic, right? And that's just what we did. And so I think what's happening now is there's a collective awakening happening. Well, not collective. We hope for collective, but
hopefully
there is a large awakening happening of wait a minute, this has only led to more problems. This has only led to more issues. And maybe there's another way. And we're starting to hear stories of people unwinding chronic disease naturally. And why is that being silenced? That makes me curious, right? Mm-hmm. So I think things are starting to shift, and we are part of that shift.
And it's growing exponentially at a very fast rate, which tells you that it's here and the systems are falling.
The systems are falling. And people are ready to be awake. I feel like in a way, people are sick of, oh, I have to take this pill, and then for that pill, I have to take this pill, and then this, and there's no answer of why are you broken? Well, you're not broken. Your system is telling you that the terrain is out of balance and the cells are not communicating or functioning properly. And when we get you back into the balance, the body self-repairs. And I think what's happening is we all have like an innate wisdom within us of like something that just doesn't quite feel right or sit right. And just like this inner knowing of, I feel like my body should be able to fix this, or what happened, right? So there's just like kind of a curiosity happening. And now the mission of regenerative health it really is going global. People want this knowledge. They want to know how to heal themselves.
Yeah, 100%. So let's get into detoxification, because not all detoxification is the same. There's a lot of fads, there's a lot of garbage, there's a lot of give me your money. But let's talk about acute detoxification, what that is. What's the science behind that, first of all? It's not just a word. It's not just a thing to do. There's actual science behind it. What kind of science is that?
Well, here's the thing. To produce a clinical scientific study by the government, that will never happen. But there's a lot of science behind that. It just won't happen. If we all band together and create a study of our own, but who knows if it'll even be acknowledged. However, detoxification, and why we say acute detoxification, means we don't want to live in detoxification. That's not the goal. But everybody should detoxify their body. Just like you change the oil on your car, or your engine will blow up and get all sludgy. It's the same thing. We need to change the engine inside. We need to clean the fluid inside our body. We need to clean the bowels out, the lymph system, and so on. So acute detoxification means you press in and out of a phase where you're cleaning the systems of the body and opening up the elimination pathways. So there's a lot of quote unquote detoxes out there that are garbage, that are harmful, that are hurting people, that they don't know anything about kidney filtration, lymphatic drainage, main elimination pathways. And so the way that we work is we address the body as a whole, what systems are not working, what elimination pathways are not open. And then we start opening those drains first, right? We need the bowels draining. We need the kidneys draining. We need the lungs open. This is one of our major detox pathways. And when those three are backed up, we'll see skin problems too, because the skin is the third kidney. And so acute detoxification means let's open these drains, and then let's start cleaning the terrain, meaning we're going to use foods, we're going to use astringent foods, we're going to use herbals, we're going to use advanced modalities, whatever we need to clean out the waste out of the cells. And some people will say, well, isn't your body naturally designed to detoxify itself? Yes, it is. And that's why it works. But what's happened is that we're breathing in harmful glyphosate chemicals every day, heavy metals. I mean, we have PFAs. We have all these chemicals in our toilet paper, in our shampoo. It's everywhere. We were never meant to be exposed to this level of toxicity in our lifetimes. Really, this wasn't part of nature. It wasn't designed in this way. So we bring in items that help capture this waste out of the body and help the body get out of overload. I like to think of an example of if you're carrying a ton of grocery bags and you're like so tired, you've been crawling up a hill, the only thing that's going to relieve you is taking those bags out of your hands, somebody coming to take them, not adding more. And so much of the detox world and so much of the nutrition world is all about adding supplements, adding on top. And we need to stop adding. We need to start cleaning and subtracting and opening those pathways and draining. Like think of the bathtub. We need that drain to be working or the water is murky. And that's the biggest problem in anybody that's having a health issue. They're having a lymphatic issue. The lymphatic fluid is clogged, it's stagnated, it's got parasites, pesticides, heavy metals, chemicals, and the cells are suffocating on their own waste. So that's acute detoxification. We go in, we clean it out, and we get out of there. And then we get into balance. And I believe just like a tune-up on your car, you should do a couple detoxes a year.
Yeah, 100%. So a question that I've been getting, which is funny because it's like, it's so simple, but yet it's like, we've never heard this term. We've never been taught this term, food combination.
Yes, the intelligence of nature. Okay. So proper food combining. What is the favorite American thing to do when they think they're being healthy? It's have fruit for dessert, right? Everybody's like, oh, I'll just have a bowl of fruit. I'm like, don't do that. Don't do that. So fruit should be eaten first. I would say fruit first, fruits alone, or leave them alone. Fruits digest quickly. I just had a luscious bowl of watermelon. There's none left, but it digests in minutes. The average time inside the stomach is less than 5 minutes, and the body is absorbing and pulling in all those electrolytes. Fruit also does not require insulin from the pancreas. So we have a significantly sped up digestive time here. And fructose doesn't need the aid of insulin to enter into a cell. So this is a very fast food, and it's amazing for quick energy. It's amazing for actually stabilizing your blood sugar and not spiking it. And it's amazing for people that have pancreatic issues, diabetes, all those sorts of things. I actually talk about healing diabetes through fruit, which is, again, against the grain. And a lot of the censorship, by the way, that you were talking about happened after I did my live on reversing type 1 diabetes with a patient. So it just keeps going. Yeah. But food combinations, fruit should be first, fruit should be alone. It's quick, it's watery. Just think about the nature. Melons alone or leave them alone. Melons are first. Then you can move into acid and subacid fruits. So you can have a big bowl of like grapes, berries, whatever, kiwis, all that stuff can all be mixed together. It's all good. And then I just try to keep slow and starchy fruits to the end of my consumption, like bananas, dates, figs, those sorts of things. Now, in a smoothie, does it matter? No, but you wouldn't really blend watermelon with a banana anyways. It would be disgusting. So, I mean, I always get the smoothie question. So can you do blueberries and a banana in a smoothie? Absolutely, right? You're taking the fiber components out of it. You're blending it together. The digestive time is going to be the same. So we want to think about these digestive times. Now, say you ate a big heavy meal and you ate fruit after that heavy meal. That heavy meal is going to take a minimum of 4 to 6 hours inside the stomach. It needs the aid of pepsin and pepsinogen. It needs hydrochloric acid. It needs insulin, amylase, and so on from the pancreas in order to break down the food. We're not just a mechanical breakdown. This is an enzymatic breakdown to take information, which your food is information to the body, and bring it into nutrients that can be absorbed to run the cells. So this is why chewing is so important, the salivary enzymes, all of this stuff. And so when something takes 6 hours to break down and then you eat something that takes 5 minutes to break down right after, you are going to have fermentation. You're going to have gas, bloating, distended belly. You're creating a fermentive environment inside the gut. So those are some of the biggest ones. And then I would say, the others are the American way. Sorry, it's extremely hot here in Mexico. Gotta be ongoing. But some of the other rules are starches and proteins should not be combined, which is the American way. A burger and bun, steak and potato, all of that. And it really is because of the nature of how the gut needs to break down that protein, the level of acid that's needed. Well, then the pancreas has to provide a lot of amylase and things different to break down the starches, which actually forms like a goo. And you start to build an internal glue inside your stomach from these biochemical breakdown reactions and the enzymes that are necessary in the different processing times. So I say fruit first, fruit alone, veggies second. After fruit, you need to wait maybe 15 to 30 minutes. It's that fast in your digestive tract. After a raw veggie meal, minimum 1 hour, preferably 2 before going back to fruit, say. If you've eaten a heavy meal, a cooked meal, I would say 4 hours minimum before you're going back to fruit. So I kind of just go I front load my day with my fruits and my superfoods. And then when I'm ready to get off of fruits, I'm off of fruits, right? I just move into the veg section of my day. And so all veggies can be mixed, fats and veggies can be mixed, lentils, quinoa, all of like lentils and veggies can be mixed. Quinoa and veggies can be mixed. I just don't put protein and starch together.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, no, I'm not going to go there. It's going to cause a poop storm. So I'm just going to leave that one alone. I'm just going to let's move on to water. Let's talk about water for a minute, because a lot of people are doing it wrong, but think they're doing it right.
Yeah.
So what would be the best practice for hydration?
Well, I believe in a couple of things. One, I believe number one in eating your water. So, what does that mean? Eat your water. Think about, I just had a bowl of watermelon, like 97% water, rich in electrolytes, super natural. So how much of your water is coming from your diet? We should be having a very hydrating diet. A living food diet is a hydrating diet. So that's first and foremost. And I think that's primary and foundational to human health. Now, secondary, do we need to consume water? Yes, and living water. So I prefer spring water first and foremost because it's living water. When we have distilled water, reverse osmosis water, yes, it's clean, but it's dead. There's no charge to it. And what we have to start looking at is our body is more than just biochemical. It's actually electromagnetic. And in order to run our nervous system, we need minerals, we need electrolytes, we need these natural things that exist in nature. We can't have dead water that has nothing in it. Our cell doesn't actually know how to bring that in or what to do. So some people are chronically dehydrated, drinking loads of either distilled water, RO water, or alkaline water. And this is going to cause a shitstorm.
Right? It's the alkaline water that people are going to go, whoa.
Whoa, right? And because it's interesting because we heal the body through getting the terrain between neutral to slightly alkaline, right? So there's this concept that alkaline is better. Acidosis creates disease. But first of all, alkalosis or acidosis creates disease. It's balance that we're seeking. And it's a 7.4 pH that we're seeking. Well, alkaline water is the very wrong pH for our cell, okay? It's a 9, 10, 11. It doesn't even actually make any logical sense. It's way too alkaline. You would burst a cell if we actually put an 11 pH inside of that cell. It could not function. And so what we're not understanding is that, one, we're diluting our gut acid with alkaline water. Our gut needs to be between a 1.8 and 2.4 pH. And that gut acid is very, very important to the digestive breakdown and the capability of your body to break food into actual usable nutrients. When the gut can't do its thing, we just start to ferment and rot the food and then pass it through. This is constipation, belly bloat, brain fog, beyond. So I see a lot of patients in my clinic that have candida overgrowth, belly bloat, dissension, brain fog, UTIs. They have like all this like infection, like poor immune issues. And the first question I ask is, what kind of water do you drink? They're like, oh, I do great. I drink, it's from the K word, we'll just say that. And I drink alkaline water every day. I'm like, there's your problem. And that's the first problem, is it's a wrong pH for our cells. Our gut can't function, our cells can't bring it in. And so we really need to have living water. So the parameters that I like to stay in, and this is difficult, but the parameters I like to stay in is actually pH of like 4.5 to 6.8 pH for water, and a TDS, which is total dissolved solids, of 20 to 60 that you're looking at for the dissolved solids. When we have really high dissolved solids, we start to back up the kidneys with too many minerals. We have all heard of hard water. That's really where that statement comes from. Hard water is heavy mineral water. Now, I was talking to Dr. Tyler LeBaron about this, who's the lead molecular hydrogen scientist in the world. And I just had this theory. We were in Lisbon actually teaching on stage for an event, for a water summit, actually, interestingly enough. And Veda Austin spoke and a whole bunch of people. But I was just really like, why do you think America specifically, has like the highest TDS and this alkaline pH happening in the water? And my theory, I ran it by him and he was like, I think that's accurate, was we have so much pollution in our environment, right? So the body's natural way to buffer acid inside the body is with calcium. We take minerals to buffer acids. You have osteoporosis, osteopenia, stop eating acidic foods, the body will stop buffering with acid. Well, it's the same in nature. How do we neutralize these harmful chemicals? We use minerals. So my theory, or my school of thought, I should say, because it's not a theory yet, I guess it's not scientifically proven yet. My school of thought around this is that our mineralization has increased to meet the demand of the toxicity in our water and on our planet. And specifically in America, we have very high TDS and we have more alkaline water. I was surprised to find that a spring by my house had like a pH of 9 and a TDS of 350, and that's the spring that everybody's going and filling their water up at. And I was like, oh my goodness. So it is a little bit difficult, but that's the parameters in which, if I was drinking natural water, I would drink living spring water with a pH under 7 and a TDS between 20 and 60. The second tier to that is one of the fastest ways to get hydration into the cells is to add molecular hydrogen to it. we can go there, we cannot go there. It's totally up to you. We can go there on another time, but it's one of the fastest ways to penetrate the cell and bring it into the cell and have the body really for the first time start to drink per se.
Yeah. And I have to say, like when I started using and not all of them are built the same. So you need to be very, very careful. There is I noticed the difference immediately.
Well, it's an industry. It's like with anything. So there's over 3,000 clinical studies now that have been produced, or over 2,000. I think they're around 2,500 have been clinically produced to show the therapeutic benefits of molecular hydrogen. And so with that, there becomes an industry that tries to capitalize on that. Yeah. It's the first thing really that's been studied to show to be so profound in regenerating the body with no harmful side effects. Like even the herbalism we work with, there's some side effects in clinical studies, right? Everything has side effects. Molecular hydrogen has no harmful side effects, none. So with this knowing, people feel like, oh, it's safe. I'm just going to go have a factory make a bottle for me. And that's what's happening everywhere. Like somebody just said, oh, I got a bottle for $27 online. Like, please don't drink from that bottle. You can't even get the parts for $27. Like, because what you're doing is you're drinking microplastics. You're drinking from electrodes that are trying to produce electrolysis that are rusting inside of there and leaching heavy metals. The membrane is insanely important in molecular hydrogen production. That's called a proton exchange membrane, and only protons should be allowed through that membrane, which is the hydrogen ions. In electrolysis, we make a lot of different processes. We make chlorine gas, for example, in electrolysis. So all this unwanted byproduct that is produced within a molecular hydrogen device needs to be eliminated out the base. There needs to be a dual airway system that's releasing those gases and those other byproducts and only allowing the hydrogen ions through. So do not just go out and go Google a hydrogen bottle, because you're probably harming yourself. We had so many people that have spent a few $100s on a bottle. And I was at an event and they came and she said, oh, every time I drink it, I kind of have this metallic taste in my mouth, or like a swimming pool. I'm like, you're drinking chlorine and heavy metals. Please stop drinking that. So Amanda and I have aligned with the highest caliber bottle in the world for specific reasons, because it was produced for clinic. It wasn't produced for market. It was really produced by a clinician that has healed thousands of patients with his scientific research and developments in molecular hydrogen. Yeah. So we use Lumivete cell power. It is the best device in the world. It's insane. And I think there's so many great ways to get molecular hydrogen in, but adding hydrogen-rich water is the fastest way to not only penetrate the cell, but it starts activating the wisdom of the mitochondria and starts activating a process called mitochondrial biogenesis. So the birthing of more mitochondria. And if you study loads of doctors, they've actually proven that all disease begins at the mitochondrial level. So when we start there, everything from there improves, and then we won't even get deep into the NRF2 pathway. But if you look up the NRF2 pathway, it is the pathway that prevents all dis-ease in the body. So we'll leave it at that.
All right. And I think I said this to you before, like if you start treating each one of your cells in your body like a baby that you've had, how would you nurture that baby? How would you take care of that baby? You know, if you started looking at it in that way and simplifying the viewpoint, everything changes. You know, if you're hydrating, if it's getting nourished, you're getting the benefits of all of that. Mm-hmm. So it's mind boggling. Yeah.
I was going to share with you. So I believe in the living food lifestyle. I believe in eating your water. I believe in all of that. I reversed my own chronic illness through regenerative detox, plant living, all of that. And even with that, I still yielded towards dry skin. And I just didn't understand it. I was like, how? I'm peeing constantly. So we think, okay, we're peeing. That means the cells aren't bringing it in, right? It's not getting in. And I had a lot of pharmaceuticals in my upbringing, in my childhood. My mom was antibiotic happy, but she didn't know any better, right? It was a trained thought. It was just what it is. Bring the kid to the doctor. So loads of pharmaceuticals, all these things deposit inside and around your cells, really blocking them from proper absorption. And I wasn't drinking the water in the right parameters, even the water that I was drinking, right? Because in the wellness industry, it's actually known to drink distilled water because it's the cleanest water. Now, can you bring distilled water to life through an herbal tea? Yes, because it restructures it and brings the living minerals and all that stuff back into it. So herbal teas, you want to use distilled water, totally fine. But for drinking, we should not be doing that. And so the moment I added H2, also known as molecular hydrogen, into my life through hydrogen-rich water, my skin is like baby soft now. Like, I can't believe, I'm like years of having dry skin, even living as I lived. So I've seen such a profound difference. I've also seen, I had some fine lines and wrinkles gone. Like, my skin is regenerating. I just ran into somebody I haven't seen in nearly a decade, and they were like, Carrie, you look younger than when I saw you 10 years ago. I was like, yes. So it's like the lifestyle. And I think that hydration is such a foundational piece. One last thing I want to touch on that you said is, I think all parents, like you said, we would want to nurture our child. There's no parent that wants their child to have disease, that wants their child to have autism, that wants their child to be unwell. But we don't know another way. We've just started to accept this as reality. And so we can take a step back and say, no, how would I feed that child? Would I want it to have the best? Would I want it to have the most hydration? Would I want it to have chemicals? Or would I want it to feed it, organic fruits from the trees? I think all of us as parents, when we take a step back outside of the programming and we take a step back of like what we want for our children, of course it's the best, but we just haven't known another way.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And to kind of round out that whole cellular hydration, I mean, and you mentioned that the molecular hydrogen can actually make it through each and every cell, which you have about 75 trillion of them in your body, just so everybody knows. That's a lot of communication. That's a lot of talking that needs to happen. And if you're dehydrated, you have no energy, the brain fog, on, and everything else starts to break down from there. So that's where you want to kind of really focus is hydrating, right?
Yeah, I would say one other factor is it's not just hydration. It's not just lubrication for the cells. Water is actually a mystery. It's two gases that make a liquid, right? So water is this living substance that carries an electrical charge to it. So you're not just bringing hydration in, you're bringing in electricity into your body. And we are electric beings. All the cells communication is happening off of an electromagnetic exchange. So this is something that I invite people to kind of step outside the Western medicine and the biochemical view of things, of just like hormones, pH, this and that, and really looking at the electromagnetic side of things, where when we bring in living water with minerals, that is creating an electrical charge in our cells so that our cell has the ability. That's why we see mitochondrial ATP, that's adenosine triphosphate, aka cellular energy. This is why we see it decline in dehydration, is because there's no current there. And water is also the receiver of information. So like in my clinic, we run frequencies on people. We use a biofeedback machine. And this is very similar to the Rife. It's been used for hundreds of years, actually, not thousands. Hundreds of years, people have known that certain frequencies can fix things. Well, if the body's dehydrated, the body cannot receive the frequency or fix the communication because there's not enough of an electrical current to do so. So it's more than hydration.
Yeah. Yeah. And you had mentioned something in class that was really, really interesting. The actual age of a 30-year-old in this day and time.
70.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, that's something to think about, you guys. If you're a 30-year-old, cellular-wise, yes. Yeah. Your cellular age is 70 years old if you are a 30-year-old in this day and age, with all of the toxins, pollutions, and everything else that come around you. Yeah. So that is why acute detoxification is also so imperative and important. Okay, so there's one term that, everybody can say, everybody hears constantly because it's repeated on nonstop, but there's nothing behind it for the people that aren't scientific, I guess. So I'm going to ask you, the term endocrine disruptor, you hear this everywhere. Laundry detergents, cleaners, the air, the food, the everything. What are your endocrine glands, and why are they so imperative that you understand what endocrine disruptor means?
Okay, this is a big question. So your endocrine glands, first of all, this is your entire glandular system that's running every single part of your hormones in your entire body. So your endocrine glands produce and secrete hormones, okay? These hormones are chemical messengers, and this is how the cell communicates. And they regulate various functions in the body, like numerous functions. So they regulate your metabolism, they regulate your cell repair, they regulate your growth. Like, I'm short. I had an endocrine disruptor as a child. We sometimes think short stature, tall stature is related to genetics, but it's actually most often related to endocrine disruption. So the more disruption we can have a hyper or hypopituitary function, and that's all happening from chemicals, pharmaceutical drugs that are disrupting our pituitary function, which then regulates our GSH, our growth stimulating hormone. The main endocrine glands, like I just mentioned, one of them is the pituitary. This is considered the master gland. I call it the GM, or the CEO to me is the hypothalamus because it communicates with the pituitary. But the pituitary is the master gland, and it manages all of your endocrine glands. So it controls and produces hormones that regulate your growth, your blood pressure, and all of your reproductive functions. So if you're having reproductive or fertility issues, period issues, thyroid issues, you have a pituitary issue. And these endocrine disruptors directly calcify our pineal. They affect our pituitary. They start to imbalance our hormones. So the communication gets completely off inside of our body. We also have the pineal, like I just mentioned, which is located in the brain. It secretes melatonin. It's one small part of its function, which influences our sleep-wake cycles. We have our thyroid. We obviously know that's in the neck. Your thyroid gland is in charge of all metabolic functions in your body. So everything. That means not just like, do I lose weight or not? Every single metabolic function, including how well you digest, right? Think of it as the gasoline that's going into your car. Are you putting in trash or are you putting in the best gas, right? So if you put in something that that's just going to clog up the system, everything in your car will run slower. And so we have to think of it that way. Parathyroid, charge of your calcium utilization. These are at the back of the thyroid, and they regulate all the calcium levels in the body and in the blood. So when we have things like osteoporosis, osteopenia, scoliosis, varicose veins, we have a calcium imbalance because of the parathyroid weakness. Adrenals, located above the kidneys, right? The adrenals produce cortisol, they produce adrenaline. The adrenals are what is regulating your heart rate. If you have heart palpitations, you have an adrenal and nervous system communication issue. So we have to really understand that these endocrine disruptors are massive, and the endocrine glands are regulating every last function. Even the pancreas is an endocrine gland, which is your main digestive organ. It's an endocrine and an exocrine function. So that means it has hormonal components to it, the endocrine tissue, and then it has exocrine. So it excretes nutrients into the body and into the blood. It produces insulin. It produces glucagon. It regulates our blood sugar levels. So much. And then we have ovaries, testes, and hypothalamus. So I won't go down all of that, but the hypothalamus, why I call it the CEO, is often not listed as a gland, but it's a really crucial role in linking the nervous system to the endocrine system via the pituitary gland. So the hypothalamus receives its communication from the gut. Okay. And the gut is the main thing that is affected by endocrine disrupting chemicals, especially ones that we're consuming in food. And then the hypothalamus starts to communicate to the pituitary and says, hey, pituitary, I need you to produce X. And then the pituitary says, I'm on it, boss. And then it talks to the endocrine system. This is a proper, healthy, functioning system. So we see this shift happen when we have endocrine disrupting chemicals. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that because that was a lengthy answer.
That's great, because a lot of people that I talk to think the endocrine gland is just one gland, and there's just not a big understanding around it, which is what it's meant to be. So here's a few quick shots at you. You ready? Mm-hmm. Cholesterol, friend or foe?
Friend.
Perfect.
Friend. So yeah, cholesterol is a very alkalizing agent inside the body, and the body is producing it because you are demanding it. Yes, it can cause problems. It can cause traffic jams. It can cause, we have open heart surgery for a reason, right? But why is the root cause? Why is the body producing that cholesterol? LDL cholesterol is produced in the body to buffer acid, to carry out excess weight, to carry out triglyceride fatty acids that are in excess. And it actually, I always say, wherever there's high cholesterol, it means there's high damage. It's a Band-Aid, it's a wound healer, it's an adhesion healer. So if your body has high cholesterol, it's because there's a high damage component, and you need to really work on the liver. The liver and the adrenals are the biggest contributors to high cholesterol when they are stagnated or backed up. And the last is obviously your diet.
Awesome. Isolate supplements, vitamins, minerals, probiotics. Yes, no, why not?
Never. It's a never. And this is all the fad, the IV drips, the right? The reason why it's a never is because it doesn't exist in nature. The body does not know how to bring in 10,000 milligrams of vitamin C. Let's start there, okay? This concept of like, oh, you're gonna have so much. The body can only absorb around 60 to 90 milligrams at a time. The rest gets peed out. So you're adding excess stress to your liver, excess stress to your kidneys, excess stress to all your cellular system. And I always say, when you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? Your cells, what happens when we have a mega dose of anything, whether it's zinc, it's iron, it's calcium, whatever, it's competing for entry inside the cell. And now we're imbalanced in other minerals that we actually need to run the cell, which is why you're starting to see like CalMag together, because they realize, oh, these people got super depleted on magnesium. And this is just going to continue to happen. You are creating an imbalance inside the body. It is an isolate, not made in nature, unrecognizable by the body, unrecognizable by the cell, adding a significant amount of stress to the liver, the lymph system, the kidneys, and beyond. The first thing I do is take everyone off their isolates, right? Nature knows how to do it. It just does. You see calcium and magnesium together naturally in food, right? So I believe that all of our supplementation, if we are supplementing, which I do believe in some supplementation because our soil is not the same anymore. We aren't getting the nutrients that we think in our food because of farming practices, fast farming and beyond, and all the chemicals. So yeah, do I supplement? I do, but I supplement with like organic, regeneratively grown, whole, living, raw, live plant foods, right? Like that have all of their normal makeup in there, like plant algae, plant foods, like things that exist in nature.
Awesome. Awesome. Biohacking or bioharmonizing?
Bioharmonizing.
Why?
Okay. First, let's just talk about the energetics of the word hack. Everything is frequency and vibration. And that a lot of people take that as like, oh, that's hippie speak. No, it's scientific. How do you think I unlock my car? That key fob has a frequency that is being sent to the car that only those two are connected. The same in your cells. When you get below a certain threshold of the frequency of the cell, that's where we see dis-ease set in. It's the same as calling it low energy. It's a low frequency, a low current moving through. So I want to just get that. Like frequency is science, but some people aren't using it correctly. So when we use the word hack, that has a very aggressive frequency. I really don't like the word biohacking. It was made up by men. It was made up by the tech industry. Let's hack into the body and start to manipulate it. Okay, first of all, I don't want to be hacked into. Do you want your computer hacked, or your house hacked, or your body hacked? I don't, and I'm going to get a lot of crap for this. But I believe that what they're attempting to do, the kind of concept behind biohacking, and it's a great industry, honestly, because they are figuring out how do we get into the body in a more intelligent and quicker way to seek balance. That's really what we're trying to do, is find harmony and balance and awaken the body's own wisdom. So I call it bioharmonizing, but we are using certain things to get into the body. Like people call molecular hydrogen biohacking. I call it bioharmonizing, right? Because what it is doing is it's entering the cells, it's entering and cleaning the terrain and creating a harmonious, more coherent, more communicative environment in between and around your cells.
100%. And any word that the World Economic Forum wants to use, I have a hard time getting behind.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the word. I just think it has such an aggressive energetic to it. And it's it's like a male-driven world. And now a lot of women are entering the biohacking space. But I just wish that we could change up the terminology or bring a different awareness. Like we were really trying to bring harmony into our bodies and harmony into the planet in general.
Yeah. And we have to trust that. We have to learn to trust that again and go back and just empower everything we know. And just be ourselves again, really. So we have about 10 minutes left. I want to switch it and talk about the Institute for the last 10 minutes. I have like 6 more pages of stuff I want to ask you.
We could do this again. We could do this again. My answers are long, but I feel like in order for people to really understand it, you've got to answer it correctly.
100%. And all of this information is so brilliant. And it's so understandable. That's why I really, really love it. And I love the way you teach it and bring it through and whatever. So you guys out there, we're being very, very censored yet again. So if you could just drop a heart or a thumbs up, give it a share, whatever, we would really appreciate it. This information is coming. It's coming hard and fast. And that is why we are being shut down just as hard and fast. But we're going to keep coming. They won't stop us yet again.
We're building an army.
We are building an army of health and wealth and happiness and just a high frequency of people that is completely not what they want. No more fear-based. No more fear-based. So, Carrie, I want to talk about the Institute. What gave you this idea? First of all, what is it? What is the Institute of Regenerative Health?
Well, we are a licensed institute. We're considered like an alternative private school that trains and certifies regenerative health practitioners. So this is really for anybody that's like, I want to be in the natural health industry. I want to help people heal, but I want the deepest level of knowledge possible so that I know the root cause of dis-ease and how to reverse it. And it's really for people that want to build a very successful, thriving career as well. Now, we have a lot of people that come through the Institute that are like, I just want to know this for me and my family. Totally cool. But we also do not leave any stones unturned because I believe wealth is health, and that creates true sovereignty. So much dis-ease or disease is created by lack, by people not being resourced enough. So the Institute of Regenerative Health is a licensed government body. We are a real school. We certify and train regenerative health practitioners. You will become a CRHP, Certified Regenerative Health Practitioner, when you graduate. You are able to open your own either clinical practice, online practice. I teach you how to work completely mobile. I'm sitting in a swimsuit and there's the beach right there. Because this is what I believe is the future for humanity, to really be sovereign, be free, be well, and be wealthy. And those are the pillars of the Institute.
100%. And you are getting ready and geared up to start another class coming up in September, correct?
Yes, September 7th is the next program that begins. It's just a few weeks away. I'm very excited for this. The program has gone through a big redesign. Actually, just started recording another section in the Institute, and it's called the Energetic Anatomy of Illness. So we go through all of the science. It's a 7-module program. So it is deep science. It is everything you need to know about the body, the endocrine system, kind of like what you've learned today. We go through iridology. We go through body mapping, facial mapping. We go through herbalism, advanced modalities, ways to heal the body. There's a huge business section, but then we also have like quantum biology, trauma and illness, and now the energetic anatomy of illness. So there's so much in this course. You cannot find this anywhere. It does not exist. And that's why I actually created it, Amanda, was because I took like a million different certifications, and I was like, nobody could ever, people kept saying like, how do you know all that you know? How do you put this together? Why are you getting such good results? Because other people were coming from other programs that I highly respect and took. And I was like, I had to take this program and this one and this one and this one and this one. And so the Institute is all of it in one place in a very organized manner to, 1, save you money, and 2, save you loads of time. I basically sifted through what was not necessary and brought in what I found to be the most deep dive regenerative program that exists.
Oh, 100%. Now, what kind of people do you see enroll? You see people coming in from all professions?
Everywhere. People that are in them. We've had a lot of like functional medicine doctors, pediatricians, doctors, chiropractors, acupuncturists, a lot of that, because they're like, I want to help my patients for real. Like even my kid's pediatrician, she now has her own private practice and is helping people regenerate naturally because she found this work. But we also have like stay-at-home moms. We've had wedding planners. We have energy workers. We've had 70-year-old graduates. We've had everyone. We've had men taking this program now. Thank goodness. I'm so excited for that. For the men to be a conscious voice is going to change the world. But we've had everyone from all walks of life, interior designers, lawyers, like people that are just, what they do know is that they're drawn to this work. And that's really all you need. And you don't need any prereqs. You don't need to be a health coach or anything in medicine.
I sure wasn't, but I was doing it anyways. So it was great. Okay. So here's a weird question. I thought of this one last night and I thought, I don't know, maybe she's not thinking about this, but because of how fast and how large the regenerative healthcare practitioner career is becoming and what's happening with regards to the awakening around it, do you worry about them trying to create regulatory bodies? And if so, do you think you'd be willing to create such a thing to avoid the corruption we've seen take place in other industries? So beat them at their own game prior to.
Yes. So I'm very aware. I'm actually working through being completely accredited as well right now. So that accreditation process is going to give us a little bit more security. But the backup plan is we become a PMA. And so we already have attorneys on that if the censorship gets to that level, we will become a PMA. Unfortunately, the consciousness of humans right now, they want this licensed institute, this government body. That's what they want.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I am staying in that lane so that we can help the masses, right? So that we can help as many people as possible get this information. We've even had people are getting government subsidized loans for this program, because we are a legit licensed school. So I'm staying in that lane as long as I can, but I absolutely have a backup plan. Also, my IP, my intellectual property is completely owned separately and cannot be touched. So we've got it dialed. We've got a PMA, we've got IP, we've got everything kind of separated out so that if something happens and we get regulator shut down, we can pop up somewhere else.
Perfect. Whew. Okay. So we have about 3 minutes left. You have a Q&A coming up with regards to the next course. And I wanted to let you tell everybody where they can find that and what time that's at. And if you're on the fence, do it. I'm telling you, it'll be the best decision you've ever made. It's so much knowledge. Where can people find that, Carrie?
Thank you so much, Amanda. So this Thursday, I'll get the landing page right too. I'll actually put it on this post once it's posted. I'll put it in the comments. This coming Thursday, we're gonna have kind of a presentation of really what the Institute is and all the business bells and whistles. You're going to see a whole new presentation, and then we'll open up time for Q&A right after. We'll also probably have another Q&A on Friday for people that have extra questions. That will just be no presentation, just questions. And so you can register for that for free, and then you'll also get the replay when you register if you can't come. So it's this coming Thursday, 11 a.m. Central, 12 o'clock Eastern time, and we will be live on Zoom, and I will provide the link for you to register.
Amazing.
I do work on payment plans and all kinds of things. So you'll learn all the things Thursday too.
100%. And it's so accessible. And if you've been out of the whole education sector for so long that you're worried that you're not going to be able to take it in, I did it. I'm an RHP. I did it. You can do it. I'm telling you, it's from all walks of life. It's all over the world. And the people you will meet are second to none. So if you're on the fence, hop. Do it.
We just had the most amazing gala together. Amanda, you'll come next time. But the community and the friendships are literally lifetime. I mean, people have met their best of friends in their whole life. I also guide pretty intuitively. So when I pair people up, I feel their energy, and they're like, Carrie, how did you do that? This person's my best friend now. I'm like, I know. But yeah, if you're looking for not only just a career, the deepest knowledge, but also a family, like a community, because I do think that this work sometimes brings us into a space of feeling more isolated, right? We're against the grain, we're different. And so when you just have this beautiful community, this tribe of people that are with you and supporting you and elevating you, it's next to none.
Amazing. And I so agree. So we got 30 seconds before Instagram shuts us down. Is there anything else you want to say? I want to say thank you to you. Thank you for coming. I hope you'll come back and do this again, because like I said, there's 6 more pages. I'll
come back. What I would say is never forget your own power. Never forget the power of your voice, because one person's voice changed the trajectory of my entire life. And I've now helped thousands of people heal around the globe. Like, your voice matters.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, thank you guys all for being with us today, and stay tuned. When this actually gets posted, we'll post the link to the Q&A to join the Institute of Regenerative Health Q&A coming up this week. And other than that, love you all. Thank you for being amazing warriors and tellers of truth and getting to the bottom of all of the crap. I love you all. Have a great day.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.